Honorable Men Discord, the Karmelo Anthony trial. Let's talk about it.
How you see yourself is how you perceived. I see a man strong, gifted, head strapping, never down on his knees, begging. Gotta make a way, even in my darkest hour. Say the odds against me was new. I would never cower.
As always, welcome back to another episode. If you haven't already, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Tell a friend to tell a friend. I drop episodes daily at 5 p.m. Eastern time. So, first and foremost, I was going to avoid covering this because when I covered it, when this first broke, it was like the amount of anger that I had to deal with in the comment section for having my own opinion on it was out of control. As we all have our own opinion on it. Some may be upset that I have an opinion on it, and they would want you to see it their way, but that's not how this world works. Everyone has an opinion on it. Now, I'm not going to go into what my opinion was at that time when I shot this video, because we're here now, and what I have queued up is some things that was some new founding information from day 2 of this trial. And I'm going to go through these things, and towards the end of this episode, I'm going to speak on my thoughts on it. But again, I wasn't eager to cover this at all because I know how this goes. It turns into a back and forth of different perspectives, and throughout those perspectives, many would like to believe that they're being non-biased when they're being biased. All right? That's just a fact. There's a lot of biased commentary, and I'm going to play some of the content that I found, and then I'm going to speak about it at the end. Now, I'm not agreeing nor disagreeing with these comments, but we're going to get through it. So let's start with this video. For those of you that are unaware, this Karmelo Anthony trial, Karmelo Anthony is on trial for the death of athlete by the name of Austin Metcalf. Okay, he was a twin, and he was fatally stabbed at a track meet. Now, I'm going to play this news report, and I'm going to queue up all the other things that I have, and I'll talk about it further as I mentioned. So let's get into it.
Of this Texas high school murder trial started with a firefighter recalling how he was called to a high school track meet about a year ago and found 17-year-old Austin Metcalf already dead from a stab wound. And then a school police officer recalling when he took the alleged suspect into custody that Karmelo Anthony told him, "I'm not alleged, I did it." There have been supporters of Anthony gathered back there at the front of the courthouse as this trial has gotten underway. And this is a case that since the beginning has divided some members of this community, sometimes along racial lines, with some allegations of racial bullying, others calling for accountability. And some of the other testimony today has involved some of the high school athletes who were there that day, who described the tent that was set up at the track meet for Metcalf's team, and that Anthony took a seat underneath that tent, saying that he wouldn't leave. There was an argument that Metcalf was involved in, and depending who was testifying, some described it as something between a light shove or a hard shove, and that's when Karmelo Anthony took the knife out and stabbed Metcalf in the chest, something that Anthony's attorneys have described as a split-second self-defense decision. There are no black jurors who are deciding this case. The last 3 potential black jurors were dismissed by the prosecution, they said, because they were educators. The defense objected to that, but the judge found that the dismissal of those jurors was reasonable. This judge is going to keep hearing testimony right into the weekend, through the day on Saturday, with the hopes that the trial can be finished within 2 weeks. Day 2 of this Texas...
So about that all-white jury, I came across commentary from a gentleman who is African-American. He has a well-known page. I personally don't like his content because it always seems as though he has an underlying disgust for black people. Now, hear me out. There's a group of black people that I'm not a fan of either. And those are the ones that and that particular group are those black individuals that show us at our worst. And this is why that term black fatigue came up. So I'm not sitting here saying there isn't a community of black individuals that exhibit behavior that I'd like to believe those of us that are striving to be great or to just be great leaders of our family, we are opposed to that type of behavior. But with that being said, without me going off track, there's this particular individual who has a following. He has a huge following for his channel. His take on the whole white jury is he doesn't understand why black people find issue with that, because he looks at that as those black people are racist, because he looks at it as though black people who are looking at a all white jury and thinking that a fair trial can't be had with the all white jury are basically racist, because they're assuming that the all white jury can't be partial. Now here's the thing about that. Let me just say this. Can an all white jury be partial? Yes. But so can an all black jury. What disgusts me with this individual, and I'm not saying his name, I'm pretty sure you know who I'm talking about. What disgusts me with this individual is, let's just be, I really don't like when this world operates from a place of being naive and a world that doesn't hold itself accountable. There is no way, if you reverse this, right, and if Metcalf was alive and Karmelo Anthony was dead, there's no way the Metcalf family, there's no way Texas, its judge, would allow an all black jury to try Austin Metcalf. There's no way you're going to sit here and tell me that would ever be a thing. All right? And this is the kind of stuff, rhetoric that he's spewing on his channel, on his platform, that just disgusts me, because why are we playing this game as though it would ever be the opposite? It would never be the opposite. There will never, and read my, and trust me when I say this, and you could jump back to this episode and see me in the comments and prove me wrong if it ever happens. There will never be a time where, if the roles were reversed and a white male was on trial, right, that it would be an entirely black jury in his case with a black judge. Because it has to be reversed exactly the way it is right now for for Karmelo Anthony. It would have to be the same way. All right. And I'm not here to play the card of, how to make it where it's fair, because I don't think the judicial system at times is ever fair, to be honest with you. But that's a whole nother story. But one thing's for certain, optic wise, it just looks like it's going to be one of those things where I don't know how it's going to turn out. Because when you have a white judge and you have a white, all white jury, it doesn't appear to be quote unquote fair. I could be wrong on that, but again, you don't have to agree with what I just said on that. But again, would you ever see, if it was in reverse, an all black jury trying a white male for the murder of a black person? All right, it just won't happen. I don't care what anyone says on that. I don't believe it would ever happen. But I don't want to digress, because I have a few other things to play. So let's get into this next video.
Sam here with an update of day 2 of the trial of Karmelo Anthony and Austin Metcalf. Now, the first witnesses took the stand, and people were saying 4 out of the 6 witnesses were black, which is impossible because they have not identified any of these kids' witnesses because they are minors. Now, one of the witnesses said, "I remember people confronting Karmelo and saying, 'You shouldn't be here. You probably should leave our tent.' The student testified, 'I also said you should leave.' When asked by prosecutors whether the confrontation was aggressive, the student replied, 'I don't think so,' before adding, 'I remember it getting more aggressive.' Now, they said Anthony refused repeated requests to leave I remember Karmelo refusing to leave and Austin saying, you need to leave. And Karmelo said, touch me and find out. Which to me, that's not like touch me and find out I'm going to unalive you, but like, touch me and we'll have a problem, which is self-defense. Witnesses estimated Anthony was asked to leave as many as 15 times. Prosecutors asked whether anyone tried going up to Anthony. They said, no, sir. The exchange lasted roughly 2 minutes. Witness testified Karmelo started refusing to leave. The student said when asked who was provoking the confrontation, they responded Karmelo. Now, these are friends. I'm sure they're being respectful to the Metcalf family. So I don't fully trust that these kids are going to give us the real side of the story. I think this is them describing it, wanting to get Karmelo, accused of murder. So the students described the aftermath. They testified Metcalf fell down the bleachers and stood up. Austin fell down the bleachers onto his back and he got up. The witness said he lifted up his shirt where his chest was all bloody and said, I think I got stabbed. When asked whether Metcalf said anything else, student replied, I think he said, oh my God. Did it look like Austin was trying to pick a fight? No, sir. Did it look like Karmelo Anthony was trying to pick a fight? Yes, sir. But the thing about it is other witnesses, one of the last witnesses said it wasn't a push. He lifted him up like one of those linebacker type drills. And the last witness said, oh yes, Karmelo felt it. Austin was a 6'1" linebacker, a big guy who was almost 80 pounds heavier. Now they're painting Karmelo as the aggressor, but from what witnesses are saying, he never stood up. The prosecutor says, did this look like self-defense to you? No, sir. Was Karmelo Anthony the aggressor? Yes, sir, is what they said. And I got a message to all the racists in my DMs, personally emailing me, you can miss me with all of your racist BS. Go study history and understand why this case is polarizing America. And if the tables were turned, and if there was a white kid who would, we were saying was self-defense, most of you would be saying, oh, he's innocent. Miss me with all of that. Secret Service Sam out, Sam Super President of the world. Secret Service Sam here with an up.
Now you may ask, why did I choose this video? Because some information is better served by a non-African American, a non-melanated person. Because if I queued up a bunch of melanated people speaking like this, the information wouldn't be received. It still won't be received because clearly he's saying he received a lot of racist emails and things of that nature. You just can't win. But listen, moving along.
More updates, when it comes to the trial of Karmelo Anthony. They had a cop testify that Karmelo, he was hysterical. He was crying so hard. And he specifically said, I told him not to put hands on me. And, the officer said, once he put him in the car, he was just, crying severely. And he was extremely emotional about it. And, they just had the cop testify, asking him, okay, what he saw, where he found the knife. It was like a 5-inch blade knife on the bleachers. And he said, no, he asked Karmelo, did you do it? And obviously Karmelo said, no, it wasn't alleged, I did it. So yeah, he took responsibility for what happened. So yeah, that's the update for today. Obviously Austin's family, they were crying when they saw that and heard that. So yeah, let me know what you guys think.
What I think is when this information was brought to light, I saw people in the comments say, oh, what does that mean? He's a coward, for using the knife. Listen, this tells a lot about Karmelo as far as the fact that it wasn't premeditated like some people are saying. This wasn't premeditated. I know. All right, so let's just start here. Should Karmelo have had a knife? No. All right? He should not have had a knife. But I notice when I'm watching different videos on this, people are saying that Austin Metcalf, no, they're saying he was told to leave the tent. they keep using the word, they keep using that phrase, he was told to leave the tent. Told by who? Was he told by a adult that was part of the track meet? Someone who has authority? Or was he told by his peer? Now, I'm not saying it should have ended the way that it ended. I'm never going to say that. May Austin Metcalf rest in peace. He was an intelligent athlete. I'm not saying he should have been unalived. But what I am saying is when I see the videos where they're saying he was told, who was he told by? No teen should be telling another teen what to do. It never works out well. We've all been teenagers once before. Let's stop acting like we're new to this. For you adults that are watching this episode, no teen, can we all agree on that? But I'm pretty sure we can't because we're in our emotions. No teen should be telling another teen what to do. Teens are supposed to go to those in charge, faculty members in particular, especially in this case, to handle it. Now, if a teen told him once and he said, I'm not leaving, it was a teen should go for one of the faculty members. All right. We don't like when I say things like that because it would put accountability on the deceased. But I'm not just saying that in terms of this case. I'm saying that in all cases, future cases, that's the way it's supposed to be. And outside of this case, I'm sure we could all agree that teens should be going to an adult, particularly those in charge, which is faculty. Teens should not be taking it upon themselves to tell other teens what to do. It's never going to work out right, especially when we're talking about male athletes and their testosterone. Okay? Especially when we're talking about athletes. Even as grown adults, we know this. But it's different when you're dealing with adults. All right? Egos clash and things of that nature. All right? Now, the relevance of him crying is that people are painting him as like, right, he had a knife, it just means he's a monster, right? But if that's the case, why not just show up to the meet and immediately start stabbing people, right? If he's just an outright monster, what's his track record for being a monster? Has he stabbed people before? And I'm not saying that to be insensitive to the Metcalf family. So I want to be clear on that. I'm not trying to be insensitive. But let's try to listen to the facts and allow the court to do what the court does. And again, I'm not saying the court's ever right all the time. I'm not saying the courts are right all the time, but let's allow the courts to do what the courts are designed to do and to gather all the information and deliberate. But let's move right along.
More testimony in Karmelo's trial yesterday. 7 witnesses testified. 3 of those witnesses were Karmelo's friends or teammates. There was one girl that testified that was in the tent adjacent to where the incident happened. And thankfully, we're getting a better understanding of what the fuck this was about, because it was not just some unoccupied tent that Karmelo randomly went under. There were 17 people approximately under that tent, about 12 girls, 5 guys. One of those guys was Edwin Parra, who Karmelo knew. Karmelo went, dapped him up, and was talking to him. Everybody said when he first showed up, everything was fine. All the reporting on this dude is a fucking joke, dude. They're talking about track culture in the tent, and, that's kind of like a locker room. All right, well, check this out, dude. If my team doesn't have a tent and it's fucking raining outside and I know a buddy under one of those tents, bro, I'm going to go chop it up with him. So that's why he was there, and he had a right to be there. Can people ask him to leave? Yes. Does he have any duty to leave? No. And over 4 minutes, this built up. They kept asking him, hey, bro, you got to go. You got to go. So he clearly just was like, fuck you. You guys aren't bullying me out of this tent, bro. It's raining out and I'm chilling with Eddie. There's no issue. Okay? And there was multiple back and forth. But the 3 witnesses that are going to be Austin's friends are going to have confirmation bias because they do not stand from an uncontaminated baseline. Why? Because they automatically felt Karmelo should have just left. Could he have just left? Sure. But he didn't. And he said, fuck you. Okay? So at that point, one of the witnesses said the girl that was adjacent to the tent, said that Karmelo said, if you guys want to move me, you're going to have to do it yourselves. And then we have other information saying that he also warned him. Okay, so did he have a right to be at that tent? Yes. He has no duty to retreat, and he can stand his ground right there. He is in a position of self-defense. Okay? Now, his response to it, do I think it was proportional? No. No. Once you are warned, once Austin was warned, your culpability to the reaction to that increases while the person you are going towards, aggressing towards, decreases. That also speaks to proportionality. Are jurors going to understand this? Are his lawyers going to be able to lay it out properly? Probably not. But the three witnesses that were his friends that testified all gave different accounts of the fucking story. One dude said, yeah, he pushed him with two hands. Another of his friends said, no, he just touched him on the shoulder. One dude said he fell back. Another dude said he didn't see that. Okay? The most important testimony in this case will come from Edwin Parra. Why? Because he comes from a more neutral position. Talking to a guy that he knew that was under his tent, probably didn't mind him being there like everybody else, and will give a more accurate testimony or more honest or believable testimony because he doesn't have that confirmation bias of being like, fuck Karmelo off the jump. So the whole situation is just, this is how conflicts arise. Leave, fuck you, I'm not, do something, don't put your hands on me, I got a knife, I got a weapon. There is culpability on both sides for what happens after that event. You touch me, I have a right to defend myself. That use of force has to be proportional to what you did to me and the whole situation. I don't think Karmelo's response was proportional, which is why I think he's going to get convicted of manslaughter. And that's what I think is going to happen. But all the first witnesses, they asked him like, oh, they all were like, yeah, we think it was murder, which shouldn't be a question that should be allowed, bro, because the question of the law aspect belongs to the jury that's adequately advised on the law, not on some kid's interpretation of the law. But this is what we got, and you know, we'll see how more testimony comes out. But we know the situation. We know how it escalated. We know all the things. So, you know, now it goes to all the legal aspects and the jurors' understanding and the believability of all the witnesses and their decision. So, as more shit comes out, but I think the testimony of Edwin Parr is going to carry the day. All right, there's more testimony.
Interesting. This is interesting. This is interesting. I don't know. I really don't know where this is going to go because allegedly this video, when I first saw, I think from day one, I believe they mentioned the video, but it wasn't clear. But then you see some people that say the video was clear. I don't know where this is going to go. I don't know.
What happened, but I'm going to tell you what I don't like. That brother getting death threats, his family getting death threats, that's not right. Caucasian nation, when y'all unalive one of us, y'all tell us to be quiet, sit still, and let justice run its course. That's what y'all tell us. Y'all told us that with Sonia Bland. Y'all told us that with Michael Brown. Y'all told us that with Sonia Massey. Y'all told us that with Amir Locke. Y'all told us that with Amar Arbery. Y'all told us that with Philando Castile. Y'all said, sit still, Negro Nation. Sit still, Africans, and let justice run its course.
And the final video.
The video was on 2 hours. Was it clear enough, or was it fuzzy, or what?
No, it was clear. It's clear enough to where you can see the actual individual raindrops come by the cameras.
Okay.
That's how clear it is. You actually see them walking up. You see that Karmelo is already up under there. He's under there minding his business.
Dodging the rain, or?
Yeah, it was still raining. You know,
right.
I'm from Louisville. So that day we were under a tornado watch.
Right.
And we were under thunderstorm warning. And we know we had already had some light rain then, and it started raining again, then it was over with for the day.
Okay.
So that's kind of what happened on that day. But they were at a rain delay already. And so during that time, when that happened, the twins, their two buddies, and a few other kids, because there was a few kids involved with them, they were all coming from the direction of the middle school,
Right.
coming walking back up.
Right.
On the video, you can see those four that actually was involved, and maybe about 3 or 4 others that was with them, skipping up, trying to catch up behind. One veered off probably toward his way to go to the coach and
Okay.
kind of distract him a little bit. And then the other 4 came walking together. One went in front of them, went past.
Right.
The other 4 went and they surrounded Karmelo. You know, if you're Karmelo,
And they showed that on that video.
it's on the video.
Okay, come on.
You can see them walk
I'm gonna
up.
say little
And
stuff.
I'll put
while
it
you
this
talking.
way.
Okay.
They actually tell you when you're watching the video, pay attention to this corner right here, because if you look anywhere else, you might miss different things.
Okay.
So watch those 4. Here they're 4 right there coming up.
Right.
That's exactly what they say.
Okay.
And so you have no way to be confused that it's those 4.
Okay.
So they come up, they surround them, and this immediate moment of not even a few seconds of pause, then that's when they jump. And so,
So
it
they
was,
actually did jump him.
yeah, it wasn't just no touch. It wasn't just all that moment. Yeah, it was a push. It was all kind of things. But Austin pushed, Hunter hit, and then everybody swung. But at the same
So
time,
it's more
Karmelo-
than the twins that got some licks
all
on them.
4.
So it showed that in the video.
Yes, in the video. So again, you have Hunter and Austin standing in the middle,
Okay.
and you have the light bright boy here, and you have the darker boy here.
Okay.
I think that's what I remember. So I have to go back and think about it. But that's where they were. One was going up and down while they were talking, and kind of pushing or whatever he was doing. Austin and Hunter was in front. So where they're talking about grabbing bags, Hunter actually said that I grabbed his bag.
Right.
And then later on, he said that Austin threw the bag.
Okay.
Jeff also said the same thing. And so that's them both antagonizing. And we
Right.
know under Texas law, I just have the fear that you're about to do something to me and you can get up out of here. Yeah, so you don't have to touch me. But at that point, he still stood there and stopped there. And whatever they say alleged was said, you don't know that until they get to it here. But once they did that, they started hitting him. Karmelo actually was able to back out and try to get away. So he was actually trying to get away the first time. Austin grabbed him, and you can see his hoodie coming out like this, and they brought him back in.
Okay.
And when they brought him back in, that's when you can see Austin put him in a headlock. You can see that all the rest of them are still hitting. That must be when the poke happened, because he was able to get out again. He backed out. He looked to the right. That's where the other little kid was filming, because they got some cell phone footage too. But that's where he was filming. He looked directly at him in his camera, and then he went this way to the left. He went down. He fell. And that's when they realized he was gone, because they were still punching. And when he fell, that's when they all turned around. They started chasing him. Austin tried to go chase him too, but he grabbed his chest. I guess he realized that something happened to him. And that's when he went down a little bit and he fell down. But all 3 of them were chasing. But Karmelo was so fast, he got away and went around to the coach. And so you can see them on the video pointing toward Karmelo and the coach. And I can imagine, because Karmelo's out of the camera on that moment, that he was telling the coach what happened. And then that's when Hunter said he whipped his head around. That's a true statement. He just wasn't sitting when he did it. He whipped his head around, you see him on the video, and that's when he walked over to where Austin was, but he never touched him. So all that stuff about him rendering aid and holding his heart, and he never did that, because the coach grabbed him and he was holding him. So at the end of the day, that's kind of where the moment went. But they did assault him, and we'll just play the game. Even if it was just a push, you still assaulted him, because it was unwanted. By your own definition in your word of him saying that leave me alone and I'm not going, you assaulted him, period. But they did beat him. And if you look at the, not the photo that Fox 4 put out, because that was one that they actually edited. I have the emails to prove it. But the actual Collin County one, you can see the webs and stuff on his eye. You can see the bridge of his nose is swollen. You can see the webs under his neck. And so that's the reason why they edited the one from Fox and kind of airbrushed it. And you can see they put the locks of his hair that got taken out as well.
You seen the video, your own 2 hours. Was it clear?
Listen, I'm gonna end it there. This is still ongoing. I know they're gonna try to wrap it within the next week, two weeks max. But what's your thoughts on all of this? I'm just gonna bow out of this. I'm gonna bow out of this. I'm pretty sure there's gonna be more information in the next few days, and I'm just gonna watch it and see where this goes. But that's all I have on this episode. I appreciate everyone for tuning in. Again, rest in peace to Austin Metcalf. This is not a video to disrespect his passing, but this is a current event, and this is a current event that is going to be a current event for the next few days, and therefore it was something I definitely thought should be covered. But that's all I have on this. As always, I appreciate everyone for tuning in. If you haven't already, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, tell a friend to tell a friend. I drop episodes daily at 5 p.m. Eastern time. And as always, stay honorable.